Down through history, Navy men have worn a variety of colorful uniforms. But today, the sailor's uniform, like his ship, has been scientifically streamlined. The blouse, jumper, is tailored of 18-ounce vat-dyed navy blue Melton cloth. The cuffs and collar are of the same material. The cuffs and collar are... Oh, well, perhaps we better go aboard ship and have a look around. Well, here's Seaman Tarfu. He'll help us with our little demonstration. Oh, yes, the jumper. The Navy man carries very little on his person. Therefore, the jumper has only the one small pocket, which, however, is adequate for all his personal effects. The less said about a sailor's pants, the better. The jumper, although snug-fitting, was designed to be easily removed. Grasping the lower seam between the thumb and forefinger of each hand and exerting a gentle upward pull, before our sailor boy can say, heave-ho the mizzenmast, heave-ho the mizzenmast, heave-ho the mizzenmast, there, it's off in a jiffy.
Man your battle stations, man your battle stations.
Navy craft are always kept immaculately clean. And whatever natural hazards may be encountered are always handled with true Navy efficiency. Of all Navy traditions and ceremonies, the most colorful is that of piping the Admiral aboard. Another Navy tradition is that of growing a beard on long cruises, but it must conform to regulations. The regulation clearly states the hair, beard, and mustache must be worn neatly trimmed.
The hair, beard, and mustache must be worn neatly trimmed.
And what is a sailor without a tattoo? Today's super dreadnought boasts a completely equipped weather forecasting laboratory. Wonder what the weather's gonna be tomorrow.
Looks like a storm to me.
Seriously, however, Navy equipment is the finest obtainable. And though a sailor must still take his turn at standing watch in the crow's nest, he has at hand the most powerful binoculars in the world, enabling him to see through solid banks of fog, mist, and rain, even beyond the horizon.
Fresh.
In conclusion, of course, no picture about our Navy would be complete without some appraisal of the American sailor as a fighting man. Let's hear from a recognized authority on this subject.
Sa Navy. What'd you expect, sailor? The Army made this picture.
morning, in the time you spent brushing your teeth, planes of the Air Transport Command were busy flying a distance of 5,000 miles. Right now, in the time you spend looking at this issue of the Screen magazine, your air transport planes are flying a distance equal to twice around the world. And between this minute and this same time tomorrow, they will have carried their cargoes 120 more times around the world. This was our Navy when we entered the war. 1,076 ships, combat and non-combat. Many of these ships have since been sunk. The Pacific, the Atlantic, the Mediterranean. Question: how many ships do we have today? Answer: 14 times as many as we had when we started, thanks to the men and women working in United States shipyards. Here's one for the books, about your ally, China. The pay of a private in the Chinese Army is the equivalent of 52 cents a month. He has been fighting the Japanese for 6½ years. In these 6½ years, the Chinese soldier has earned $40.56 and the respect of the entire civilized world. In all U.S. Army posts, one of the most serious problems is fire. Of all the fires that cause damage in U.S. Army posts, 17% are started by, guess what? Soldiers smoking in bed.
A very interesting figure.
And that ain't no exaggeration!
This is a picture of you, the average American soldier. Nothing unusual, but there are some things you may not know about yourself that are pretty amazing. For example, you are 5 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier than any knight of King Arthur's Round Table. You know more about maps and compasses than Christopher Columbus. You are a more accurate shot with your rifle than Daniel Boone himself. And with your automatic weapons, you have greater firepower than a whole platoon of Napoleon's finest. And in addition to all this, you know more about making beds than the average American housewife. All in all, you're quite a guy. In fact, you're quite a lot of guys. How far does a bullet travel before it hits a Jap? 150 yards? A little bit further. The bullet starts to travel here, back home in the mines and the mills, when the parts of the unmade bullet begin their journey to the factory. Total distance to the factory, 11,700 miles. Finished bullet shoves off for California. 3,000 miles more. Across the Pacific to Australia. Add another 6,700 miles. Then 2,100 miles by air, by truck, by mule, and up to the front on the back of a man. And this is where we came in. Range, 150 yards, plus 23,500 miles. Casualties, not caused by bullets, caused by sickness, avoidable sickness. In the United States Army, one of the great causes of sickness is diarrhea and dysentery. One of the greatest causes of diarrhea and dysentery is the dirty mess kit.
Chow! Come and get it!
Attaboy, fill her up.
As I was saying, dirty mess kits.
And you ain't kidding, brother.
Pardon me while I blow about the U.S. Navy. Take our newest battle wagon. The great Iowa class. Everything's tremendous. Even the anchors. Each hook weighs as much as a tank. How safe are they from air attack? Compared to any battleship of 3 years ago, these new babies throw up an umbrella more than 100 times the size. The Iowa whips up enough juice to furnish a city of 20,000 with all its power and light. And speaking of lighting up cities, these ships are built to do a little lighting job on the cities of Japan. One ship tosses shells at the rate of 1,200 tons per hour, a payload equal to the bomb load of 300 flying forts. So, do you mind if I blow?
Hell no. Let's all blow.
The most useful piece of equipment the American soldier carries isn't GI. He brought it into the Army with him, and he carries it here, right under his bucket. This is the gadget that runs the show, steers all the jeeps, fires every shot. While the soldier's brain is winning the war, in its spare time, it's preparing for peace. Thousands of men are getting set now for good post-war jobs. Courses in more than 600 college, high school, and technical subjects are being sent out daily by the U.S. Armed Forces Institute to American soldiers all over the world. Courses in everything: carpentry, bookkeeping, chemistry, plumbing, art, mathematics, and engineering. Thanks to the Armed Forces Institute, the brain that the American soldier took into the Army will be of greater value to himself on the day he takes it home. GI shoes. 2 pair to every man. Multiply by the number of men in the services, and you've got a lot of leather. Put into one piece, it would cover 2,893 acres. This hunk of hide cost the nation $75 million. Yet, every month, acres of this leather are burned up by soldiers who try to dry wet shoes by giving them the hot foot.
Listen, pal. You can't eat 'em. Why cook 'em?
received in action, for heroism in action, for gallantry in action beyond the call of duty. Decorations in every combat unit prove that men who've got what it takes are giving more than what it takes. But there's one group of men that does its big job unarmed. These are the men of the Chaplain Corps, with one of the highest percentages of honors in the Army. In the 34th Division alone, with 15 chaplains, 11 have been decorated. 1 Distinguished Service Cross, 4 Purple Hearts, 2 Legion of Merits, and 4 Silver Stars. In this division, and in all divisions, the work of the chaplains brings honor to themselves. And this work carries the spirit of their faiths to every front.
Noch ein, noch zwei, noch 40 mehr. 50, 80, 20 mehr.
What the Axis enjoys counting are the American soldiers killed and injured by accidents. And there's plenty to count. This sort of thing. This is saving Hitler bullets. This sort of thing. This makes the American Army smaller. Lifting heavy objects the wrong way is causing hernia. And every American hernia means 1 soldier lost for service.
50, 60, noch 100.
American fighting men swim where they shouldn't. So they cease being fighting men. Sometimes American soldiers do rather strange things.
Just a little pillow fight.
And then there's always the warrior who falls asleep in his chariot. These and hundreds of other types of avoidable accidents are mounting up. And the sound of the accident adding machine is music to the ears of the enemy. American bombers, 1,000-plane raid. In a single operation of this size, the gasoline used up would keep your old family jalopy running, running, running. Yep, still running, running, running day and night for 71 years.
Hot diggity! What a ride!
Axis countries, voting is a rather interesting process. In the German army, for example,
All in favor of me, say ja! Ja!
Mine.
It is unanimous!
in the Japanese army, it's even more interesting. One more vote for Tojo. But in a democracy, voting is a little different. People actually run for office, and people actually vote as they please, in peace and whenever possible in time of war. We felt this way in a war a long time ago, when an American general said these words.
A very large portion of legal voters of the United States are now under arms in the field. They are American citizens, having still their homes and social ties binding them to the states from which they come and to which they will return. In performing their sacred duty to their country in its hour of trial, they should not be deprived of a most precious privilege. That's what we did then. And that's what we're doing now. This November, our country will hold a general election. Americans will vote for men to hold these offices: President, Vice President, senators in certain states, and representatives in all states. However, before Americans overseas could vote, it was necessary to solve several problems. The first was distance. Americans were everywhere. To lick the problem of distance, we must fly the ballots. The second problem was eligibility. That meant, of the millions of men overseas, which ones met the voting requirements? Could this man vote? Could this man vote? This man? This man?
Hey! How about me? Can I vote?
To find that out, first of all, read the posters.
What posters?
You won't be able to miss them. A series of 5 posters appearing at intervals will be tacked up everywhere in and around your installation. It's up to you to read these posters. They will tell you how to find out whether you're eligible to vote. They'll also tell you exactly what you must do to vote. There are not only these posters to help you. A voting officer has been appointed in your outfit, and he's been ordered to make himself known to you.
The voting laws of every state are different, but practically all states have one thing in common. Practically all of them have made it possible for men overseas to vote by state absentee ballot.
If you want to vote, your voting officer will give you a card. Fill it out, front and back. Get it sworn to. And then airmail it, postage free, to your home state capital. If you're eligible to vote, your state will airmail back your absentee ballot or further instructions. If, however, you apply before September 1st, and you don't receive your state absentee ballot by October 1st, you may ask for one of these. If your state is one that approves its use, you can vote with this. Write or print carefully. If you mess up your ballot, your vote will not be counted. So be neat. And don't forget, take your oath. Your government is doing everything in its power to enable you to vote. Posters, your voting officer, applications for state absentee ballots, and official federal war ballots. If everything is not completely clear, stop in, and your voting officer will explain your situation to you personally. But remember, if you don't want to vote, you don't have to. Also remember this: no one can boss your vote. No one will be marched to vote. And your ballot is secret. This is an American election. And if you follow the instructions carefully, your ballot will fly home and will make you a part of another American election. And that's important.
When this guy was stationed in the United States, his pay didn't look like very much. But over here, it looks a lot bigger, especially to the people who live here and buy in this little store. Then you come along. You make a purchase. Your friends get the same idea. The stockpile gets smaller. The price gets bigger. About all there's left for the townspeople is the great, big price. Multiply this scene a few thousand times, and you get an idea of what happens. Money. Money without buying power. Money shot to hell. If you throw less of that money around and salt some of that money away, it will not only help the people who live here, but it'll help you later on.
If we are to believe the storybooks, those were the good old days when men really were brave. Then the world was inhabited by a fearless breed of men, men afraid of absolutely nothing.
That's right. Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing?
Absolute.
Practically nothing.
Yes, ever since the world began, men have been scared. The brave knights of old had those same cold beads of perspiration. Their hair stood on end. Their hands got clammy. Their hearts pounded. Their stomachs flopped and bounced. Frighten them and they got keyed up too, being normal human beings. Scare a man and automatically his fear machinery starts rolling, wakes him up all over, and prepares him to recognize the danger. Nerves go into action and wake up a couple of glands. The glands come through with a shot of adrenaline, and all hell breaks loose. But it all makes sense. Nerve cells get hopped up. You see more clearly. You hear more keenly. Muscles tense. Your body's ready to act and act fast. But to act at top speed calls for extra energy. That's where the liver comes in. This is the fuel tank. The fuel is sugar. And here's where it's stored. Getting scared gets it out. Out through the bloodstream to your muscles that need it. To get it there quicker, your heart pumps faster and you breathe harder, bringing in more oxygen to change that sugar into strength. And here we are. Scared? Yes, but ready. Ready either to get away from the danger or stay and fight with extra strength. That's the best thing about fear. You can make it work for you instead of against you. The GI Bill of Rights.
Just who gets the benefits of this bill?
Any veteran, male or female, with more than 3 months active service, who hasn't been dishonorably discharged.
Will it help me in finding a job?
No, the bill itself does not. but you do get help elsewhere. It's your draft board that helps you to get your old job back. Or the United States Employment Service will help you find a new one.
But suppose they don't find me a job right away.
If they can't find you a job right away, you'll be given $20 a week up to a limit of 52 weeks. Moreover, if your job brings in less than $23 a week, you'll get a government check to make up the difference between your income and $23.
What's the dope on borrowing money?
Don't get the wrong idea about that loan provision. The government doesn't guarantee that you will get a loan. It just makes it a little easier for you to borrow money for a business, equipment, a farm, a home.
Yeah, now suppose I want to borrow enough to build myself a house.
Making arrangements for this loan will still be your job. As with any loan, before you can borrow, you have to show you have credit. By credit, we mean property you own, or the money you're earning, or the skill and experience behind you. Normally, you would have to back all of this loan yourself. But when you're a veteran, the government will back 50% of your loan, up to a limit of $2,000. In addition, the government pays the interest for 1 year on this part of the loan.
Does the GI Bill of Rights give us any free education?
Every veteran, young or old, can study in any approved school for 1 year. Grammar school or high school, college, trade school, business school. You name it, and if you can meet the requirements, you can have it. The government pays all of your school bills up to $500 a year, and living expenses of $50 a month, or $75 a month if you have dependents. Moreover, if you were under 25 when you went into the service, or if 25 or over, and can show that the war interrupted your education, when you come back, you can have that 1 year that every veteran gets, plus the same length of time you spent in active service. That is up to a total of 4 years of schooling. Those are the main points of your GI Bill of Rights. Help if you're unemployed, help in borrowing money, free education. It's not a bonus. It's not a handout. But it is a way to help you get started again in your permanent career as a United States citizen.